Sorry to jump in. You said it worked, the branding. How do you actually get the measure? How do you know that works?
We do follow-up surveys with our buyers and sellers as to what attracted them, as to what's led them to even pick up the phone to Hocking Stuart, top of mind, brand recognition. We've had independent research consultants, John Bereni, Virgin, we contracted them to look into how effective our branding marketing was or is. That was a while ago, it was about 3 or 4 years ago, but we're quite satisfied with that. And we've also, through our own website, interestingly enough, we get more hits to our website directly, people going directly to the brand, than coming in via the realestate.coms and the domains and the other portals. So, you know, we're pretty happy with that.
So would you say that your sales pipeline is mainly through the website? To some degree?
We're now seeing 50%, just over 50% of initial inquiry, or research I should say, coming via the website. People researching the market much more vigorously via the website.
Now, how much research? Has anyone here seen the Hocking Stuart website? Two of you? Yep. I want to hope so. How much research did you have to do to get that website working? Because if it's 50% of your clients coming through that, what was the research?
Well, I think and that was probably our basic philosophy about keep it simple.
Yeah.
People are going to go to a real estate agent's website to either buy or rent a property, sell a property perhaps, but they're buying or renting. Yeah. That's what the vast majority of inquiries are, they're buying or renting.
So 2 simple messages.
Yeah, so the home page delivers that in spades, okay? You just come to the home page, there it is, what do you want, where do you want it, what do you want to pay?
Yeah.
And it's as simple as that. We looked at sites that had flashes and they give you a little spiel about the founders, and then you know, it rolls into the this, that and the other thing, and quite frankly that's a turn off. It is for me, and I figured, well, if it is for me and I'm a sort of regular Joe as far as real estate is concerned, then a lot of people probably get turned off by that too. You go in, you grab their attention, you hang on to them, and it's interesting when they're in, there's a stickability. When they're in and your site's rich with content, they're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And in fact, our Red First initiative that we were talking about before, which is a membership-based thing, and we've got 30,000 people registered as buyers on it. We've polled them twice, researched them 2 years running, and over half of them aren't registered on any other site.
Okay.
Solely on that site, waiting for properties to come up.
And
they can go into realestate.com, they can go into Domain, they can go into Real Estate View, they can go into any other agent's sites, but the vast majority, just over half, are
so it's that stickability factor.
That's right.
You've got what they want.
Yeah, we're giving them information that's relevant to them, and they're happy to stay with us.
Great. Now I have some questions.
So I just wanted to know, obviously a lot of your business now would be referral-based business, but when you're first starting out, how do you go about sort of what strategies do you use to really prospect for new business, and what sort of strategies do you keep as an ongoing strategy to prospect new business and also implement it amongst other?
You're talking about a salesperson, or?
I guess building up your, or for a salesperson, just building up a referral base.
Well, for somebody new into real estate, clearly any activity that they are fortunate to get involved in is usually the principal says, look, you look after that sales file. And that's basically where it all starts, because immediately you're coming into contact with buyers and sellers, and a lot of people will research the market by looking at properties for sale before they actually pick up the phone and ring an agent. And often the decision on who we're going to call is based on who we've met in the marketplace. And if you, as a salesperson, presents well, was responsive, asks the right questions, and basically one of the fundamental questions, if you're trying to prospect for properties, have you got a property that you're going to be selling? And for a buyer, somebody who's buying before they're selling, clearly somebody who's a system in the buying process is going to be favoured in the selling process. If you demonstrate you're a good sales agent in the selling and follow up and make phone calls, and a lot of these fundamental things are not done, even by experienced people, unfortunately, So how many phone calls do you get after you've been through properties on the weekend? You don't get a lot of follow-up phone calls, but the ones that you do get impress you. So that's a start. How did I get going in sales? When I started, basically it was a desk, it was a phone and a diary, and that was it. And I started looking for the for sale by owner properties that people had advertised themselves, and I chased those up very vigorously in Albert Park, and that's what really got us going. Because these people, it was a cry for help, I said. It was actually, people say they didn't want to pay an agent's fee, but I thought saw it something different. And I was there to help them. And over time we got going on that. But then to keep on building a personal referral base, you actually have to do the job. You actually have to sell and satisfy them that you've actually got a screaming price, a good market price, or if it's not the price that they wanted, they're satisfied you've done everything you possibly can, and that is the price. And if they're happy with you, they're happy to talk about people, talk about you to other people. But you can build a database today so much more easily than when I started. I mean, we used to have cards. You know, I followed up a listing for 12 years before I got it in St Vincent Place. You know, writing on this card, you know, putting it back in there, picking it up in 6 months' time, giving them a call. Today, it's just these things remind you. But it's the doing it that distinguishes the people who actually make it and the people who don't. It's the actual, still the application. It's 20 years, 30 years ago, it's still the same today.
Now, would you say that a lot of your success is from that consistency and attention to detail?
Yeah. And I mean, we worked very hard to get ourselves, as it turned out, a reputation for being the seller's agent.
Yeah.
That, you know, people often say, you're happy to sell through you, but gee, I don't know whether we want to try and buy through, you know, which was a backhanded compliment, saying, well, when we're selling, we know who we're going to.
Spend too much when we buy from you, so we know you'll sell.
And people who actually, who we get back as sellers later on say, you really worked us over when we bought this place. So, you know, we have to come back to you.
Yeah. Now, a few more questions? Where's the mic gone?
G'day Greg, Shane. You mentioned at the start that persistence was something that was really important for you and sort of got you through in the early days. And I guess other of us here in the room are in that small business space, and there's times when it gets tough and when it gets hard, you sort of face the wall. What tips would you give us as being small business owners in terms of persistence and how you did it and what it was that sort of got you through?
Yeah, I suppose ignorance was a great thing for me, but I didn't have a clue what I was trying to do getting into real estate, but...
you can probably relate to that.
I mean, you do have to have enormous self-belief. You have to believe that in your product, and you have to believe in yourself. And even in testing times today, where you might be challenged by something that, you know, an unexpected, you know, business calamity, then, you know, when fortunately for me, being in the business for a while, I've got a depth of experience to draw on to help me through it. But if you haven't got that, then seek out people who can help you, because there is an answer there somewhere. There will be an answer.
Can I ask, what was one of your hardest times or most challenging experiences within that 20 years?
Andrew and I were very hands-on for a long, long time, and so much so that our focus was really riding the business, just, you know, tipping as much in the top of the hopper as we possibly could, and hope something would pop out the bottom for us. You know, that's everybody's hope in business. What we had taken our eye off the ball, or in fact hadn't even really critically focused on it, having left it to others, was the day-to-day overheads and provision for, in this instance, taxation, which really, well before the days of GST, clobbered us a treat. And we ended up with hundreds of thousands of dollars black hole in our business that we weren't prepared for, and they were pretty dark days. Our financial controller walked in one day and said, "Boys, we've got a problem." And we went, "Oh yeah, what's that?" The coffee urns burned out or something. Fix it, don't worry. And he said, "No, you've got this for a tax problem." Really? Really? And so
no more coffee.
No, it was all hands to the pumps and under them. But fortunately, at that stage, we'd had a trading history. Our bank was quite happy with us. They were happy that the business was successful and up and running. and they supported us through, which was, actually it was a very good reality check.
Yeah. What were some of the thoughts going through your mind at that time when your back's against the wall? Was there a lot of swearing?
No, there was, yeah, you might have been there. There was it was actually a lot of whose fault is it, and at the end of the day, it was our fault.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, it was our business. We were responsible. We have to pay the bills, not our accountant, not our external accountant, not the girl at the clerk. We have to pay the bills. We have to be responsible. So it was our, you know, that dawned on us. Well, we've got to deal with it now.
Yeah. And did you manage to resolve the matter quite quickly?
Yeah.
Yeah, glad it's over now though.
Oh yeah, well it's really behind us, and it just won't happen again. And we took that lesson on board and really shook up the whole process financially, and a lot better reporting, a lot more attention to detail from us, and had to change of personnel.
So businesses in the
financial.
first few years,
Very quick change.
Within the first few years of businesses starting out, what advice would you give in terms of the area of finance in making sure that that's set up?
Well, we see a lot of that today because people, when they start up with us, we do a lot of greenfields startups, and most of our major successes have been that, where there's an area defined, if something may approach us, or we have one of our internal people saying, look, I'd like to do this area. We'll look at it, do an assessment of what the turnover has been over a critical period of time, what a market share would produce in terms of revenue, does that match our expectations for that office, and from that we help model up with the candidate.
Yeah.
We don't provide the figures, they've got to do it themselves, but we'll look at it to see what capacity that has over what period of time to get itself up to a level that we say is acceptable, and then how much finance they'll need to bridge that critical 6 months, and sometimes running out to 12 months, but making sure that they're adequately capitalised with staff.
So you're aiming for it to be financial within the first 6 months of operation?
Yeah. Well, yes, starting to turn good figures.
Great. More questions?
James, you certainly built the biggest real estate brand in my eyes. Would you say that in the first instance you have to invest more than your competitors to do so in terms of meeting rates? And very quickly, another question, what do you think of the whole GM philosophy?
I'll ask the second question first, thanks. And the second question, yes, we spent, no, I'll go back to the second question. First question, we got into the franchise business via having a number of branch offices. We had 6 branch offices at the time, and Peter Kennett, who was running our Brighton office, came to us and said, look, I'd like to have a stake in your business because, you know, Brighton's going well, I'd like to be part of Hocking Stuart. And we went away and thought about it and came back and said, well, instead of being part of small part of our business, why don't you have 100% of your own business? And that's how we started. And when we did that, from that initial franchise agreement, we allocated a certain percentage of the turnover for just branding. And so we managed to build that up to a considerable sum, and we have quite a sum now, which we're responsible for putting out in the marketplace for branding for everybody's benefit. So we took that on very seriously right from the jump to make provision for that. But the genuine thing, look, he got a lot of mileage when the market was very, very flat. I've been to one of his seminars and heard his philosophy, and it's basically listed at any price and listed on a long settlement and wear down the vendor to a price that somebody might happen to buy it at. And it's lost a lot of favour. He's lost a lot of subscribers to his system. And this is the no sell, no pay, if you're not familiar with it, system. And that's usually the result. No sell. No pay.
Grab another question.
What can you give us some idea of your evolution going from a guy selling houses to sort of
this strategic wall or running this massive group.
Somebody else, somebody else.
Is this just sort of unroll gradually, or has that been a conscious process?
Yeah, it's been an evolution. Andrew and I, as the group started to emerge, first of all it was Peter in the Brighton office, and then we basically went through each of the branch offices and established those as franchises. The other guys put their hand up and said, hey, we wouldn't mind doing this ourselves. And going from profitable branches to royalty-based revenue actually had us going backwards in total revenue, so we thought, well, maybe expansion on the back of the brand would be a good idea, and we did that for quite some time. We had a CEO running the business, and Andrew and I were basically at Albert Park doing what we did and what we thought we did best, and that was listing and selling and auctioning properties, and Saturdays, Sundays, and leading by example in the field. Then in the early 90s, the apartment, off-the-plan apartment market started to emerge, and I moved into the city office, or we established the city office, and we had a terrific run before that until the late 90s, mid-late 90s, and as that started to quieten down, but still had a lot of life in it, I made a decision that somebody needs to, Andrew or I, needs to go back to the corporate office and run it ourselves, as we found that the CEO, who really didn't have the same degree of responsibility as either of us would have, that wasn't the right model for us. One of us had to basically take charge, so I put my hand up for that role and moved into it. So I've been fortunate. I started in real estate from a very junior level and been able to refashion my career, if you like, through a different lot of roles, and that's been one of the things that kept me interested, actually.
Beautiful. Now we are actually running out of time. That's gone pretty quickly, hasn't it? Now, last words, what would you suggest to business owners who want to get to a level that you've gotten to? What are some of the key factors to that success?
Recruiting and retaining the right people, most definitely. I mean, every business, they have the right sort of product if you're in small numbers, product development, focused on your market, reactive, responsive to your market in terms of a product, but then to leverage that product and get the best bang for your buck in the marketplace, you've got to have the right people. And we spent a lot of time, and the franchise business was not to start a franchise business, it was actually to retain Peter Kennett.
Okay.
Because if he had wandered off, he would have caused a big headache for us in Brighton.
Yeah.
He was a very talented guy, and we recognised that.
Yeah.
And so we had to come up with a way that would satisfy him, his ambition, and he's been extremely successful. So people and on the back of that, you have to have a workplace environment that they're happy with, and that we work very hard with the way we remunerate our salespeople, bonds them together as a team. We have a shared portion of each fee, which is pooled, so they're all working to sell every property that we've got listed. And for us, the personal development of our salespeople to keep them abreast of how the market's going, keep our brand there. And our brand provides the opportunities, but our people sell the properties.
Yeah, so it's down to people.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I'd like to thank you for your time,
Sure.
Greg. It's gone very
Pleasure.
quickly. Round of applause for everyone. I found out from my Alcoholics Anonymous group that you like Chardonnay.
Thank you.
So I'd like
Thanks
to
for
do
that.
Trust me.
Right.